Just about forgotten where I was up to. Now that goes on there. Sits on that post like that. Now there's a ball top and bottom. And the prism pivots on those balls. The prism is here. Now it's very grimy, I'll just clean that glass. That looks good. I'll put a touch of synthetic grease top and bottom where those balls support this. And they just act as bearings to support that thing. Now this arm doesn't really move on there, and so I don't need to lubricate that. It just fits on there like that. Let's get this arm around the right way. It's not at the moment. I have a large screw here that holds all this together. And a screw here that holds that in place on that post. These post screws here are adjustment screws, and effectively they shift this arm backwards and forwards, which changes the tilt on this, which gives you your vertical alignment. It goes something like that, and on the top of this we have our adjustment arm, which sits, how does it sit? Oh, that way up, okay. Does it sit that way? It must sit that way. There's a screw that fits in there. And a screw that went in here, and which I was busy trying to get in place when the phone rang. So this is out about 90 degrees or so. And that goes something like that. That screw there, you may need to use a flatter one than that. You can see that there's a cutaway under there. in the arm. Like that. That looks right. Okay. So basically that's the assembly, bar the springs. But I've got to get this timed correctly with this piece so that it all works, and I can tell you that's pretty fiddly. The springs, there are 2 springs involved. Let's see if I've got one of them right here, and there's a shorter one which I may have a spare of somewhere. Well, I've found the spring I was looking for. This is a bit awkward to get into position from memory. And the second spring goes here. Well, on camera only just close enough. Like that. You can see that as I move this arm, it rotates this block here, which swings this arm here, which moves the prism here, which changes the angle between here and here. Now I can tell from the rest position there that that's not going to be doing much anything useful. It needs to be right around there somewhere. What's going on here? That way. I think that's something like that. Let's have a peer out the window and see what sort of alignment I'm getting on my images. Well, the horizontal alignment's a mile out. The vertical alignment, rather, is miles out. So I need to move this lot. Let's just tighten that screw up for a start, see if that improves things. So my moving image is very low. Let's try making some adjustments. And those screws down, they're touching. Yes, moving image low. Let's try slackening off that screw. Tightening this screw. Where are we? Yeah, let's try that. That should swing the back end of this over, which will change the tilt on this. See what I get. Oh, that's pretty good. I'm moving in the right direction. Slacken that off slightly, tighten that one slightly. I'm not far away, I'm on the right track. Whoops, just push that past the stop. That's very good. It's certainly close enough now that I can put that in the camera and then make my adjustments from that point. They're quite good. I've got a good enough image that I can see what's happening. Now that arm is obviously well away from where it needs to be. It needs to be somewhere out there at that angle. Something like that. Right, I'll see if I can fit the rangefinder in position. Maybe easier said than done. Of course it's got that alignment pin, hasn't it? Yeah, I've forgotten about that. No, that goes there. We'll screw it down. And then I've got to get my position of the arm here correct. That's a bit of an act. Basically it means taking all the top off here again and loosening that screw and tightening it up again in the right position. I want it so that my adjustments I've got here are in the middle of their range when things appear to be quite good, which will give me some allowance to go back in and adjust them and get them spot on without it being a major fight. At least that's the theory. Now, we've got the arm has to couple from the front of the shutter, so we'll get that in place. I need that arm to go through in the right spot. Yeah. I think it goes over the top of that arm like that. That looks right. 2 screws hold this on the front. And there's a single screw that holds that together. This small shouldered screw here. So where is the arm on my rangefinder? There it is. I'm just bringing that over so that it overlaps the hole, so I can see what's happening down there, right down in here. If I can get this screw without dropping it, I'm always doing very, very well. Normally I end up dropping it about 3 times before I can finally get the damn thing in place. That looks good. Now, as I move the focus lever here, it should swing everything and move the prism at the top here. And it's only going to be a slight movement. Yeah, I can see this moving here. I don't know whether you can. There's a slight movement there. That's all that's required, that slight movement. Now I've got to check and see what sort of result I'm seeing in the finder, if anything. Oh, I'm 100 miles away from correct there. Too far. We're not badly placed though. Okay, so I just need to get this positioned correctly for infinity alignment, and then I can take the top off and tighten the screw at that point and then come back and make my final adjustment. So this is always a bit awkward. Basically what I've got to do is just rotate this top section left or right until I've got correct alignment of my images. Then remove my springs, swing this arm out of the way, lift the top off, tighten the screw that holds all the things together down inside. Then it should be done. It's 100 miles away. Let's try again. The other way a bit, see, in case I'm moving it the wrong way. Yes, I was. It needs to move around there somewhere. That's getting pretty close. Just overdone it. That's just about bang on at that point. Alright, so I will remove my springs. So I haven't got things under tension. Swing my prism out of the way. Take these two screws out of the top here. Lift that off. And now I've got to tighten this screw up without twisting that plate any. That screw is loose at the moment, that's very good. That'll probably do it. It went that way. I would be happier if I had this top arm on 180 degrees round from there. That would give me more clearance under here for the spring on this side. I think I'm going to do that. I think I've got that in less than ideal position there.